Hey, hey, do you hear that? That's the sound of love coming down. It's the sound of Romans chapter 5. I stinking love Romans chapter 5. Let's kind of dance through it a little bit and talk about it. Romans chapter 5 verse 2 says this: Jesus leads us into a place of radical grace where we are able to celebrate the hope of experiencing God's glory. That's really good stuff. He brings us into radical grace. It's big grace. It is sumo grace. We're going to talk about that. And in verse 6, let's check this out. When the time was right, the Anointed One died for all of us who were far from God, powerless and weak. Jesus showed up at just the right time because that's what he does. He always shows up at just the right time. Might not be our timing, but he shows up just when he needs to show up. In verse 8 and 9 says this. Think about this. While we were wasting our lives in sin, God revealed his powerful love to us in a tangible display. The Anointed One died for us. As a result, the blood of Jesus has made us right with God now, and we will certainly be rescued by God from God's wrath in the future. The Anointed One, he has revealed his love in a tangible way. This is huge. I am stupefied by his grace. I am amazed by his grace. It takes my breath away. It's amazing, incredible stuff. We are made right with God. We are transformed, we are restored, we are reconciled, and we're made right with him because of him. It's beautiful stuff. And then if you read, skip all the way down to verse 20, and it says this: when the law came into the picture, sin grew and grew. But wherever sin grew and spread, God's grace was there in fuller, greater measure. No matter how much sin crept in, there was always more grace. Grace is stronger. Grace is bigger. It's kind of like this. Imagine if this is your sin. Okay, this little evil mime is your sin. He represents your sin. And I used a mime just because they creep me out. With all their invisible boxes and balloon animals and all of that, mimes just kind of creep me out. So this evil mime represents sin, all right? And he's present in your life. But guess what? Grace comes into your life, and grace is like this. Grace is a sumo wrestler. This is sumo grace, okay? And guess what sumo grace does to evil sin mime? It completely covers him, all right? His sin is not as big as grace. Grace is always bigger. Grace is the sumo, okay? And he covers up the evil sin mime, all right? And wipes it out. When we allow and when we invite grace into our life, it covers up our sin. And God washes our sin away because of his amazing grace, because of his sumo grace. Okay, so allow his sumo grace to come into your life. Allow love to come down into your life. Allow grace to infiltrate your life, all right, and cover your failings, cover your shortcomings, cover your sin. Ask God to do that today. God bless you guys. Giddy up.